Everything has changed since the COVID-19 pandemic, including the way we study. Do you believe you as a student will be able to comprehend it? Will you be able to make it by studying on your own? Hello, my name is Nurul Atiqah binti Asrizal, metric number A182054. The topic that I'll discuss is about study partner, entitled as Two Heads Are Better Than One. Study partner is a must for students. I have read articles written by journalists about students' lifestyles, especially their learning styles such as Madeline and Richards. And of course, as a student myself, I have also experience it too. In order to avoid the lack of motivation and concentration while learning, it is important for students to have a study partner. I'll begin by telling you the problems of studying alone. The first problem is it leads students to not having peers to spur them on to study when they stray from the task. There are some proofs in which they will constantly be doing tasks at the last minute. By staying in their own bubbles, they tend to have lack of energy or comprehension during lectures. It can cause them to digress from the task for hours without them realizing it. Hence, it leads to a procrastination. In a scientific research in which, according to Pierce and Steele, 80 to 95 of college students are procrastinators, about 75% consider themselves procrastinators, and almost 50% procrastinate constantly and in a problematic way. Regarding the online learning system, online teaching forces students to isolate themselves from the world by studying alone, which makes them feel lonely. This is because since the onset of the pandemic, the learning system has changed by optimizing the use of learning applications. Due to the drastic changes, students are greatly affected, in which they cannot meet their friends and it is difficult for them to communicate with their lecturers. Hence, online learning system leads to only one way of communication. This can be proven in a journal written by Favel and friends. It is stated that the behavior of most students are different, which is some of them do not feel comfortable learning online, which leads them to more and more frustration and confusion as they all learn on their own. The extension due to the problem is the learning difficulties, such as lack of understanding. Students tend to lose concentration, or worse, their mental health becomes unstable. The burden of students who study alone becomes even greater when they are unable to understand what they are learning about, and ignoring emails from students will only make matters worse. This will lead them to be more introverted and lack of social communication. According to a study published in the Journal of American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, social isolation and loneliness are linked to increased mental health problems in students. In Malaysia, a study titled Psychological Impact of COVID-19 and Lockdown Among University Students in Malaysia, Implications and Policy Recommendations, written by Sheila and friends, it examined the anxiety of university students during pandemic COVID-19, and the lockdown between April and May 2020 found that 20.4%, 6.6%, and 2.8% of students have minimal to moderate, marked to severe, and extreme anxiety, respectively. From this study, social isolation due to study alone causes more harms to students, such as loneliness, and their behavior might change. Regarding mental health, it is a long-term cause, but minor symptoms can be detected when they often have a roller coaster emotion. The one that will be affected by studying alone is, of course, the students. Study alone harms the student, especially those who have isolated themselves without social contacts. Orgiles, who studied the emotional impact of quarantine in Italian and Spanish children and adolescents aged 3 to 18, found that 85.7% of parents reported that their children's emotional behavior changed over the time in quarantine. In Malaysia, the same journal that is written by Sheila and friends stated that those who live alone are usually the one that live separated from their loved ones, and their sudden threat to their safety during this pandemic may have made these students feel even lonelier and presented them with challenges from different angles. Now that we have discussed the problem, let's look at the solution. The solution is by having a study partner. It can help students to cope with their workload, such as assignments, quizzes, and others, so the pressure can be shared together. By not wasting any time, students should begin looking for a study partner as soon as possible. As a student, you must utilize your free time to conduct a research on your own. This is because it involves a lot of requirements, and it is not permissible to choose a study partner at random, because a study partner must be helpful to you in terms of academics. You cannot just go and say, hey, wanna be my study partner? No, impossible, right? You must begin by creating terms and requirements, or you can simply join anyone who is looking for one, as long as the requirements are appropriate for you, as you must also establish your own credibility too. This is because you want to create a two-way of communication. You can promote it on social media or just ask your classmates. This is because study partner isn't necessarily someone that you need to meet physically. It is enough if you can meet your partner virtually. You must also take note that finding a study partner means asking someone to help you with your studies and vice versa. So, it does not cost a dime, but it takes effort and time. You must amplify your effort and able to identify the characteristic of your study partner, because you will be with your study partner for a long time. Researchers Johnson & Johnson and Jones & Jones stated that they have identified 5 key characteristics of well-structured cooperative learning activities, namely active independence, accountability to partners and individuals, fostering interaction, appropriate social skills, and treating partners. Since you can study with your partner virtually, in Malaysia, most students are using Zoom as a platform to study virtually with their partner. Then, you must think why I'm thinking of this method. Well, having a study partner is the key to overcome the problems or insecurities, as both parties gain the benefits. Referring back to an old proverb that I use as my speech title, it is always good to have someone else's opinion, because studying alone do not have opportunity to do so. However, being alone is good for you to be an independent person, but sometimes as time passes, you may find it difficult to express your opinion and you may not survive in a new environment. To give substance for the previous statements of mine, Vygotsky stated that working with peers can increase the development of learning process, as it is an opportunity for students to be challenged within their zone of proximal development by their peers. Regarding the social skills, a journal written by Sheila and friends in Malaysia, the COVID-19 pandemic has created a social recession, in which a persistent sample of social distancing passed the instantaneously pandemic. This is developing a loss of emotional aid and broader societal effects, which encompass elevated tension levels. For an analogy on this method, a researcher, namely Burnett, stated that after reviewing 74 reports that made criteria and categorizing students according to the method of student-student, student-teacher or student-content interaction, it was found that the majority of students had the greatest impact related to student-student interaction, and the smallest effect was the student-teacher interaction. Now, you have an idea of the solution that I propose. Allow me to discuss the benefits and the consequences. By having a study partner, they help you to gain and share knowledge, have a better understanding, and improve your social skills. By improving your social skills, you are capable to have an identical tempo with your study partner. Madeline and Richard stated that it is particularly interesting to note that almost all the participants who were college students reported that they wanted to help their partner, and they wanted a partner who are willingly and able to provide meaningful feedback in their partner's proximal development zone. Secondly, you can enhance your speaking skills. Frankly speaking, if you are with your friends, you would rather expose yourself and at the same time boosting your social abilities by interacting with them. Without you realizing it, you are also able to improve your soft skills like leadership skills. However, if you still want to be by yourself, you may not be able to have a long survival phase, and importantly, you will not be able to taste the experience of studying with friends despite how high the level of knowledge that you have. It is a fact that without human activity with partners, they won't be able to get off from their cage. For the long term effect is you won't be able to secure a job due to the lack of communication skills. And you know, it is a waste since you have sacrificed too much time by studying, and not be able to achieve your desired job is very sad. Finding a study partner can be a hassle, but time will never wait for you. Continue wasting time or looking for it? Answer it yourself. So if we later decide to take a big steps that will benefit us, then as a student, we can drastically change the way we learn. In short, you can relieve the burden by finding a study partner who can help you in studies rather than being alone. The pressure to study alone without help leads to mental health conditions like anxiety and depression. Finding a study partner can take a lot of effort. So, start right away and think about what you can do to improve yourself. After all, with so many advantages and absolutely nothing to lose, should not you at least grab a chance by finding your own study partner? Remember, as an old proverb says, two hits are better than one. It indicates that it is helpful to have the second opinion of a person. This is because we, as human, we must accept ourselves that we have flaws and need someone to always be a reminder for each other. Thank you.